I want to talk a little bit about taking your dog to the vet and maybe conditioning your dog to go to the vet. We have a scenario going on right now with Jeff's dog Rainey, who's 11, has cancer of the skull, and we've been going down to the University of Wisconsin in Madison for, I don't know, month and a half. It's a very rare form of cancer. They only see 3 dogs a year with it. It's a sad deal when it happens. Anybody that thinks that they're going to have a dog and not have to ever go to the vet is only kidding themselves. Rainey hasn't been to the vet other than when she got neutered. If your dog hasn't been to the vet and doesn't have a bad experience at the vet, there are some things that you can do to make the trip to the vet a little less stressful on the dog. You've got to approach a vet visit with a plan. If you have a little dog, what you can do is take the dog in a carrier so that the dog is safe. If you have a big dog and you have a dog that's had a bad experience at a vet, you might want to take a second person to help you with the dog, and you should have the right equipment on your dog. This would probably mean that you would have a prong collar on the dog or a dominant dog collar on the dog. You should possibly, depending upon the scenario, your dog's temperament, consider a muzzle for the dog. I'm not a fan of cloth muzzles. The problem with cloth muzzles is they're okay for a very short period of time, but they restrict the dog's breathing. The dogs can't open their mouth when they're inside of when their muzzle is inside of a cloth muzzle. And that's what they have to do to breathe, and it's what they have to do to pant. So my personal opinion is I think you'd be wiser to get one of the plastic Jafco muzzles we have or one of the wire muzzles we have. Now, if you're going to use a muzzle, we have on our website a free video on how to marker train your dog when you put the muzzle on the dog. And it's a lot less stressful if you take a little bit of time and marker train the muzzle going on so the dog doesn't see it as a fight. He actually, if you're using high value food rewards to put the muzzle on, they'll actually look forward to the muzzle going on. But before you even get to that, something you may want to consider if you have a dog that hasn't had a bad experience at the vet is setting it up ahead of time with your vet and asking if you can take your dog into the visitation room or the room before they get checked in and let the dog hang out in there for a minute. Go in with a bait bag and high value food rewards. Take your puppy, take your new dog into the vet, sit down, do a little bit of marker training in there, give them 4, 5, 6, 10 high value rewards, and take them back out of there. So the dog develops a feeling for the vet that, hey, this is kind of a cool place to go. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to get some little pieces of cheese or some little pieces of steak or some little pieces of whatever it is your dog considers a high value food reward. And that's going to do that 5 or 6 times. Do it when you drive by so that when you go to the vet, it's not so traumatic on the dog. Now, some other words of advice is if you're going to go to the vet and you're going to have to take somebody with you, have it be somebody that's physically capable of helping you. In the visit 2 weeks ago, I went to Madison with Jeff, and there was an elderly woman. If I had to guess, I would say she's in her late 70s, early 80s, sitting in the visitation room. Her daughter, and this woman had a very large, long-haired black lab. I would guess that it was probably 75, 80 pounds. It was a little bit overweight. And she had it on a flat collar and a leash. Her daughter had her other dog in getting radiation treatment for something that we didn't know about. But this dog was not trained, and this 80-some-year-old woman was not physically able to control that dog, and especially not with a flat collar. I started to film her after this dog jumped up on the chair next to her, jumped up on the back of her chair, and was basically trying to climb on top of her. Now, once I started to film, he didn't do that again. But I thought to myself, you know, I wish I would have had my camera going so that people could see this, because it was a bad situation. That woman should not have been left with that dog, and the woman that owned the dog should have had a prong collar on the dog, or that dog didn't have to go to the vet because its companion had to go to the vet. That dog should have been left someplace, even if it's for a few hours in a boarding facility, rather than risk having this older woman be hurt by the dog, because it could very easily happen. So use a little common sense. Approach your vet visit with a plan. And if you're going in just to marker train the dog in the vet, and you open up the door and you see, holy geez, there's a lot of dogs in here that are out of control, turn around and leave. There's no reason to put yourself in an environment that could turn ugly on you real quick. So try and find out when the quiet times are. Go during a quiet time, but be prepared to turn around and walk away. I think you can change your dog's opinion towards a vet visit, Right, Rosie? Right, Rosie? We've done that with Rosie, and she likes the vet. And we like Rosie, don't we, baby?